Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm PlaidPagan and this is the place where we celebrate the frightening horrors of ghostly apparitions. This week I want to talk about The Frighteners from 1996, directed by Peter Jackson, starring Michael J. Fox, Trina Alvarado, I believe is her name, and my personal favorite, one of my favorite actors of all time, Jeffrey motherfucking Combs, from Reanimator, from Beyond. You know, he was actually even in the new Creep Show in an episode, I believe it was, shit, what was the name of it? Bad Wolf Dream. It was the werewolf one where there was like Nazi werewolves. He's in that one. So, yeah. Awesome guy. You love horror, you probably love Jeffrey Combs. He's one of my favorites, hands down. Anyway, this film was a transitional film for Peter Jackson. He made this after he had made films like Brain Dead, or also known as Dead Alive, depending on where you are in the world. He also made Bad Taste. All those films were indie films, really, but there was a few other ones he made around that time. But the big transition for him was The Frighteners, and that was where you could really see the effects start to come out, and then that was the transition that got him into Lord of the Rings. He actually talks about that a lot in a documentary on the Blu-ray, which this version that I picked up on Amazon was $6, and it's actually a version I've never seen before. It's a director's cut, and it had 13 minutes of extra shit on it, and it was great. Like, there was a lot more jokes. A lot of the jokes that they had cut, I'm not sure why, they were really funny. So that was a treat. I feel like every time I bring this movie up, nobody knows what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't know. It was one of the movies that I loved as a kid. Every time I'm like, hey, do you guys know about The Frighteners? They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, you know, that horror comedy from like 96, that shit that Peter Jackson made. They know Bad Taste. They know Lord of the Rings, but they don't fucking know Frighteners. And I get very confused by that. I'm a little upset, not gonna lie. Frighteners is a fucking amazing movie. It deserves some respect. Give it the respect it deserves, guys. Come on. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch it. It's hilarious. It's rated R, even though it's mostly a PG-13 movie. There's very little gore in it. I don't even think there's any language, really. Like, it's pretty tame. Anyway, the film is about a private investigator, a paranormal investigator, rather, played by Michael J. Fox, who has basically gone through a traumatic event in his life, and he's able to see spirits. And for some reason, he's got these 3 spirits that work with him, basically, so that they don't have to pass on, I guess. And they help him fuck with people so that he can con them into, like, fake, not exorcisms, like, what the fuck they call it when you get rid of the ghosts? I can't remember that shit. I call it burning sage. I don't know what everyone else calls that shit. But anyway, when you're trying to get rid of spirits or whatever, he shows up and he gets rid of the ghosts in the house. The ghosts. They just fuck with people, and then he shows up and saves the day. And so yeah, they had this whole like scam going on, and then it turns out that what appears to be the Grim Reaper shows up, and he's collecting souls, and the death toll in this one particular city, small town, whatever, has gone through the roof, and they don't know why, and it's like all these crazy, like, sudden heart attacks are happening and shit, people just dropping dead left, right, and center, and no one has any clue as to why. And Michael J. Fox's character, I forget his first name, Bannister is his last name. Anyway, Frank Bannister, that's it. Frank Bannister kind of gets caught in the middle of it, and he ends up getting accused by this really eccentric FBI agent who's like a paranormal investigator who's been undercover in cults and shit, who's played by Jeffrey Combs, who does a fucking awesome job, and he's really off-putting and super, like, he's just creepy. Like, he gets sick to his stomach whenever women scream. It's really funny, but it's just so out there. It's such a crazy performance from him, but he's really good at those kind of roles anyway. I love it. He has his eye on Michael J. Fox's character. He thinks that he has some kind of psychic ability to cause people's hearts to stop. So then you kind of go into this story, this adventure at this point about what's going on in the spirit world. And I can't really tell you more because it'll kind of spoil it, but there's this other element. Well, it's not like a really surprising twist, but it was a pretty cool twist. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. The ghosts in this movie have a lot of personality. Specifically, the ones that are with Frank. They're fucking funny, man. I laugh almost every line they have is hilarious, and the jokes are well timed and well executed. Peter Jackson has a very good eye for comedy. Even his older films, the B-rated stuff, the indie stuff, I find those movies very funny, and I think they're supposed to be to some degree. So, and that really comes out in this movie. The effects in this movie are surprisingly decent for '96. I was kind of surprised when I was rewatching it. I was thinking like, oh, I'm gonna get that really shitty like Mortal Kombat, Spawn, CGI. It's actually, yes, you can tell, like, it hasn't aged the best, but in comparison to other films from the time, it's really not bad. I thought it was pretty good. There is a lot of CGI in it. It's not distracting. I don't think so anyway. I found it to be pretty tame, and it blends really well with the rest of the movie. It didn't bother me in the least. You should definitely watch the director's cut. You don't even really need to watch the original one. Like, it just cuts a bunch of jokes. It just takes away a lot of the comedy elements, and maybe that was kind of the goal. They thought it was probably too funny when it was released, perhaps, and they wanted to make it more serious. But yeah, it does have a serious undertone to it, like, or an overtone rather. It deals with a lot of, I mean, it deals with a serial killer. It deals with suicide. It deals with a couple of like heavy topics, you know, death in a marriage, murders, these kind of things. So like, it deals with some heavy subject matter, but it doesn't play those parts off for jokes. It plays the right parts off for jokes. And that perfect blend of like intensity and comedy makes for an excellent film in my opinion. This is definitely one that I would recommend to everyone. It's not something that you get often. Either, I find that when you get horror comedy, either it's too campy or like it's too self-aware. Like it doesn't, I don't know, this is kind of something in the middle. I don't know how to describe it. It's really its own thing. And that's, for me, what makes it so special. And if you're not a horror fan, you'll like this movie. And I know I kind of say that a lot about, even if you're not a horror fan, but it's really true. Like, I think that horror kind of gets a bad rep from a lot of people. They tend to think that it's all just about, like, Satan and slashers and, like, big-titted blondes running around getting stabbed with a knife. I mean, yeah, there's that shit too, but not every horror is that. Like, a lot of people that I talk to, like, oh, I don't like horror. I can't watch horror. And either they think it's just too terrifying, or they think it's, like I said, the big-titty blonde getting stabbed in the face thing. And it's really not that. So it's disappointing that people don't give it a try, at least. Anyway, that's my spiel. Definitely check out The Frighteners. Director's cut if you can. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been my review of The Frighteners by Peter Jackson. If you haven't checked this movie out, you definitely should. I don't care who you are. And if you hate it, come back and bitch at me. I don't care. It's an excellent film. You need to see it, period. This week, we've got another podcast coming on Friday. Becky and I are covering something a little different. We've got something fun planned, and we're looking forward to doing another show for everyone. So make sure you tune into that on Friday. That's all I got for you. So I'll see you then. And everyone, have a good one. And be good to each other.